Okay, imagine this landscape. Yeah.
Yeah.
Over 700 rivers, life just flowing with these powerful seasons, incredible beauty side by side with some really intense environmental challenges.
You're talking about Bangladesh.
Exactly, Bangladesh. And that's what our deep dive is focused on today, really understanding how its geography, its climate shape everything for the people living there. We're going to sort of unpack the key things from our notes, look at this unique climate, the vulnerabilities, but also the resilience.
And it's fascinating, isn't it, how its position on the map, near the Tropic of Cancer, right up against the Bay of Bengal. It's not just a detail.
No, it's fundamental.
It dictates almost everything. Daily life, long-term strategy.
Yeah.
It really shows that deep connection between people and their environment. You can't separate them.
Absolutely. So, geographically speaking, we're in South Asia. India on 3 sides mostly.
Right.
Then the Bay of Bengal to the south, big influence there. And a little border with Myanmar to the southeast.
And that Bay of Bengal connection, that's the setup for the climate we're talking about.
Yeah, the defining climate, which is
technically a tropical monsoon climate.
Okay, tropical monsoon. So what does that actually mean day to day?
Well, generally, think hot, humid for a lot of the year. Then you get these really intense rainy periods.
The monsoons.
Exactly, the monsoons. Followed by a winter that's actually quite mild. But the key question it raises is, how do these seasonal winds, the monsoons, how do they really control the rhythm of life, agriculture, everything? It's more than just rain.
Totally. It's like the heartbeat of the year, these massive moisture-packed winds coming off the bay.
Bringing phenomenal amounts of rain.
Yeah, it's hard to overstate it. The monsoon really defines so much. And, culturally, they talk about 6 seasons in Bengal, which is fascinating in itself.
Right. A very nuanced view of the year.
But for understanding the core climate dynamics, we'll focus on the 3 main scientific seasons. Makes sense.
Yep, let's do that.
Okay, so kicking things off, we have summer. Or you could call it the pre-monsoon season.
Yeah.
That's roughly March to June.
And this is when things really start heating up.
Oh, yeah. Hot, humid, temperatures climbing.
Yeah.
Often above 35 Celsius. What's that, 95 Fahrenheit? Pretty sticky.
Definitely. And you get this buildup.
And that buildup leads to those really dramatic sudden storms, right? The nor'westers.
Exactly. The Kalbaisaki, as they're known locally. Short, really violent thunderstorms, intense wind, lightning. They can just pop up.
Wow. Bit of a preview of the power to come.
You could say that. They're caused by the intense heating of the land, creating instability. They can do real damage even before the main event.
Okay, so that takes us into the main event. The monsoon, the rainy season proper, June to October, roughly.
And this is the game changer.
Absolutely. The landscape just transforms. Get this, 70, maybe 80% of the entire year's rainfalls in these few months.
It's an incredible concentration of rainfall, all from those winds off the bay.
So floods are basically expected, right? Especially in the low-lying areas, the delta.
An annual reality for many. The rivers swell, they overflow, impacting homes, roads, farmland, everything.
It must reshape daily life completely during that period.
It does. It's a time of challenge, definitely, but also vital for replenishing the soil for agriculture later on.
Right, there's that duality again.
Yeah.
Okay, so after all that intensity.
Then things shift. We move into the winter, or the dry season, November through February.
So this is nicer.
Generally considered the most pleasant time of year, yeah. Temperatures drop maybe 10 to 20 Celsius, so 50 to 68 Fahrenheit, roughly.
That's more comfortable.
And it's dry, clear skies, very little rain, though it's worth mentioning up in the northern districts like Rangpur or Dinajpur, it can actually feel quite cold.
Okay, some regional variation there.
Definitely. But looking at the whole cycle, pre-monsoon heat and storms, the intense monsoon rains, then this pleasant dry winter, you really see how each part of the year brings its own opportunities, but also its own serious challenges. It demands constant adaptation.
And that need for adaptation is really highlighted when you look at the natural disaster risks, which are pretty significant because of the geography.
Absolutely. It's inherently vulnerable.
Top of the list maybe are cyclones, these massive storms brewing over the Bay of Bengal.
Yeah, they hit the coast with incredible force. Strong winds, torrential rain.
And the storm surges, right? That seems terrifying. Walls of seawater pushed inland.
Devastating for low-lying coastal areas. Then, as we mentioned, the floods. It's a riverine country, over 700 rivers.
So flooding is just part of the landscape, especially during monsoon.
Affects millions every year. And tied closely to that is river erosion. This is a huge issue.
Where the riverbanks just collapse.
Exactly. Along the big rivers, the Padma, Jamuna, Meghna, the rivers shift, they eat away at the land, and thousands can lose their homes, their farms, almost overnight.
Wow. A constant reshaping of the land itself.
It is. And interestingly, while we talk a lot about too much water, some areas, particularly in the Northwest, face the opposite problem. Yeah, significant droughts and water scarcity, especially during that dry winter season. So you have these contrasting extremes.
It's quite a complex picture.
And what's crucial to grasp is that these aren't separate events. They're interconnected. Heavy monsoon rains make river erosion worse. Cyclones bring floods.
And now overlaying all of that, climate change.
Right. That's the amplifier. It makes this complex web of challenges even more intense.
Yeah, I mean, Bangladesh is consistently ranked, top 10 most climate vulnerable countries?
That's right. Scientists see it as being on the absolute front line.
This isn't abstract. What does climate change actually look like on the ground there? What are the big impacts?
Well, first, rising sea levels. This is huge. Coastal areas are genuinely at risk of going underwater in the coming decades. We're talking displacement on a massive scale.
And that brings other problems too, I imagine.
Oh, definitely. Like salinity, seawater gets into the rivers, into the soil, especially in coastal districts like Khulna, Satkhira.
Making it hard to grow crops.
Extremely hard. Most staple crops just can't tolerate salt, so farmers have to adapt, find new crops, or sometimes just abandon the land. It's a massive challenge for food security.
Okay, what else?
Unpredictable rainfall. The monsoons might come too late or be too intense or end too early. Farmers rely on that timing. When it's off, it can devastate harvests.
So, more uncertainty.
Exactly. And heat waves. More days of extreme heat are being recorded. Longer, hotter, dry seasons. And those cyclones we talked about.
Getting worse.
The evidence suggests they're becoming more frequent and potentially more intense when they do hit. It's a very serious outlook.
It really paints a picture of immense pressure.
It does, and it raises questions about global equity, doesn't it? Bangladesh has relatively low carbon emissions historically.
Yet bears such a heavy burden from the impacts.
Precisely. It really forces you to think about our interconnected planet.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
But amidst all this, the story isn't just about vulnerability, is it? There's incredible resilience there too.
Remarkable resilience, that's absolutely true. The government, the people, they are actively working to adapt to reduce the risks. They have to.
So what kinds of things are they actually doing? What does that adaptation look like?
Well, lots of things. Along the coast, a huge effort has gone into building cyclone shelters. Strong, elevated buildings where people can take refuge.
And those have made a difference.
A massive difference, saved countless lives. They've also invested heavily in early warning systems for both floods and cyclones. Getting information out quickly gives people time to prepare or evacuate.
Crucial hours.
Absolutely. Then for farming, there's been really innovative work developing crop varieties that can handle floods better or tolerate more salt.
Directly tackling those salinity and flooding issues we mentioned.
Exactly. Practical solutions. They're also raising embankments along rivers, trying to protect land from floodwaters, and promoting tree planting programs. Trees help stabilize soil, prevent erosion, and can even help moderate local temperatures a bit.
So it's quite a wide range of efforts, not just one silver bullet.
No, it has to be holistic. Infrastructure, agriculture, community preparedness.
And they're getting international help with this too.
Yes, there's significant international support, climate finance, technical help, because the world recognizes both the scale of the challenge and, frankly, the importance of the lessons being learned in Bangladesh.
It's kind of like they're pioneering solutions out of necessity.
In many ways, yes. Their innovations and adaptation, their sheer persistence. It offers really valuable insights for other vulnerable regions around the globe. It's not just about survival. It's about finding ways to thrive in a changing world.
So looking back on our conversation, we've really seen this incredible mix in Bangladesh's climate story. You know, the beauty, the fertility of the delta, the rhythm of the seasons.
The lush landscapes.
But then also the immense power of the monsoon, the constant threats, floods, cyclones, erosion, and now, overlaid on all that, the growing pressure of climate change.
A land of contrasts and challenges.
But the overwhelming feeling, I think, is one of strength, isn't it? Adaptability, hope, this constant effort by the people there to build a more secure future, despite everything.
Absolutely. That resilience is perhaps the most powerful force of all.
So here's something to maybe leave our listeners thinking about. We've talked about the amazing ingenuity and adaptation in Bangladesh, driven by necessity. What specific, maybe practical lessons could other countries even ones that seem much less vulnerable right now. What could they learn from Bangladesh's proactive approach to actually living with and preparing for climate challenges?